But we're so stuck in this comfort zone, and the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. We're so stuck where it's convenient. We're so stuck in this ritual where it feels good. And so when God tries to shake us up a little bit, the problem always happens before the miracle.
But about 10 years ago, I was in a position in my life to where I was a projected first-round draft pick. Had been playing a game of football since I was 7 years old. And our chaplain, who now works with the Tennessee Titans, James Mitchell, was present. And when we broke it down and we were walking off the field and I was carrying my pads, and he said, "Hey, come here." And I jogged over to him and said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" He said, "I want you to meet me in my office in the morning. You talking a little crazy." And the next morning I go to see him and I sit down in his office. I say, "Hey, man, Mitch, how you doing?" Like, "Hey, man, I'm great." I said, "What's up, man? What's the meeting about?" He said, "I want to disciple you." I said, "What is that?" I said, "That sounds hard." He said, "Yeah, I want to disciple you, like spiritually. I want to go deep with you. I want to help you develop." He said, "Like when you have meetings with football, like position meetings, I want you to meet with me prior to the meeting, and I want to be able to give you homework, and I want to make you sacrifice and abstain for certain things. I want to help you develop spiritually. That's what discipleship is. I want to go deeper with you." I said, "Okay, can you give me a second? I want to go talk to my roommates and see can they do this with me and walk with me because I want a certain level of accountability." He said, "Yeah, go talk to him." I go talk to my roommates. At the time, it was Gerard Mayo, who went first round 10 pick to the Patriots. Now he's the Patriots linebackers coach. It was Robert Ayers, who went first round 18 pick to the Denver Broncos. It was Ramon Foster. He's starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers still until this day, and he went free agent. He's been starting for him ever since he got in the league. And I went to him and I said, "Hey man, here's the deal. He wants to walk with us spiritually. Are you guys down?" He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I said, "I get it. We want to be great athletes, but I think we want to be well-rounded as men as well. And this could be really beneficial and we can hold each other accountable. When one guy gets weak, another guy can step up and help him out. Can we do this?" It was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Right? In the first meeting, we tried it just to see how serious he was. He gave us some homework. We showed up to the meeting. None of us did the homework. He had us look up some scripture. We walk in and we sit down. He was like, "You got your work?" We were like, "Nope." He was like, "Get out." He's like, "Come on, man. Like, let's go through the lesson." He was like, "No, get out." And when we walked out, I'll never forget, Mayo said, "Oh, he wasn't playing." I was like, "No, he's not playing." Right? And the next meeting we showed up and we had everything. We would be in the complex at 4:30 in the morning with our Bibles open, and Mitch was challenging us. We'd be in at 4:30 in the morning and he was talking to us about abstaining from sex. We'd be there at 4:30 in the morning. He would be talking to us about different challenges and how to lead our teammates. And I was watching film one day. And as I'm watching film on the California Bears, my defensive backs coach, a guy by the name of Larry Slade, he comes into the room and he says, "Inky, I got some great news for you." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Man, can you believe you're a projected first-round draft pick? Automatic multimillionaire. I got your paperwork back. I got your grade back from the NFL. The only thing you have to do is play football." I said, "The only thing I got to do is play football." He said, "The only thing you have to do is play football." I drop the clicker, I get up, I run out of the room, I get my phone out, I call my mother and my grandmother, I get them on a three-way, and I said, "Listen," I said, "after this season, we will never struggle again." I said, "We would never miss another meal. We would never have to stand on the curb at Christmas," because I grew up inner city Atlanta in a 2-bedroom home, and there was 14 of us living there, and I used to sleep on the floor with roaches and rats, and I didn't sleep in a bed by myself until I went on my official visit to the University of Tennessee, and guys didn't understand why I didn't want to go out. And my host came up and he said, "Inky, we're gonna have a big time." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "Man, we're gonna go to a sorority party and we're gonna go to a basketball game." And I said, "Man, if you don't mind, can you please take me to the Marriott?" He said, "Yeah, I'll take you. You wanna go get changed?" I said, "Yeah, can you take me to the Marriott?" We pull up to the Marriott, I'm getting out of the car, and he says to me, he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." He said, "Are you sick?" I said, "No, I'm not sick." He said, "You wanna stay in the Marriott?" He said, "Man, listen, I don't know if you've ever been to a college sorority party, but I think you need to go. It gets pretty wild." I said, "No, I have no interest." I said, "See, what you don't understand, this is my first time sleeping in a bed by myself, and it's a king size at that. So I don't care about a sorority party." But anyway, I start my junior season. I'm a highly touted NFL recruit, and I go out my first game, have a great game, interception, big hit. Everything is off to a great start. We get in the second game. We're playing against Air Force. Gets late in the game, about 2 minutes left in the game. And so the quarterback drops back, releases the ball down my sideline. A guy catches it. I go to hit him, and as soon as I hit him, it seemed as if every breath in my body left. My body went completely limp, stiffed up. I fall to the ground. As soon as I hit the ground, I blacked out. Never happened to me before. My eyes open, my teammates run over to me, they said, "Ink, get up, let's rock, let's go, man." I said, "I can't." They said, "What do you mean you can't? You always get up, we need you." I said, I know, man, but I can't move. They said, what do you mean you can't move? I said, there's a shock going from my neck to my toes. I can't feel anything. The shock eventually left. It stayed in my right arm and hand, and the doctor came out and they put me on the spine board. And as they were wheeling me off the field, we get to the ambulance, and my father is standing beside the ambulance. I believe there's some good in every situation that we face. I believe if you train your mind to see the good in the situations that you don't like, that brings you discomfort, that brings you a certain level of opposition, I believe if you train your mind to see the good in it, it's easy to extract it. And so I say to my father as I'm lying on the spine board, I said, Pops, I got him, right? And he looked back at me, he said, yeah, you laid a nice lick on him, but I think you got the worst part of this. And they put me in the ambulance. They said, we're gonna take you over to the hospital, run a couple tests, we'll bring you out, we'll tell you what's up. They take me in, they run the test, they bring me back into the room, and when they bring me back into the room, my mother comes in, she kisses me, she prays for me, and she says, son, you will be fine. And as she's going to walk out of the room, the doctor came in running from the opposite side, but as he was running, he was screaming. And he was running, he was screaming, he was saying, guys, get in here, we gotta rush this kid back to emergency surgery, he's about to die. Die? I said, my mom just said, okay, you said die. He said, yeah, I hate to tell you, but you ruptured a subclavian artery in your chest. You're bleeding internally. We got to rush you back, take the main vein out of your left leg, plug it into your chest in order to save your life. And the next morning when I woke up, my perspective had completely changed. I didn't think about if I was going to play Alabama the third Saturday in October. I didn't think about if I was going to play Florida the next week. Instead, with the situation, it was a heavy level of conviction attached to it. Even though people were coming in to check and see how I was doing, I was thinking about my legacy and I was thinking about my life in a manner of such, when people speak about you one day, well, the only thing they say about you is, man, that guy was an amazing athlete. Like one day when I'm blessed to have a family, and now I do, me and my wife, we got a 5-year-old son, a 6-year-old daughter. I met my wife when we were 7 years old. She told me she was going to marry me in the 8th grade. I thought she was crazy, but that proved to be prophetic. We're married today. But I thought about my life and I said, is this the only thing that people will talk about you? Football? Like, well, the only thing they say is, man, I remember he was 165 pounds. He bench pressed 325 pounds. I remember when he ran a 4.38 in a 40-yard dash. Or will my life have something of substance and value attached to it? Will I just be this efficient but not effective individual? I did things right, but I never did the right thing. Like, will my life have something of substance and value that when people can see me and they can point to me, it makes them want to raise the standard and excellence in everything that they do and everything they're connected to and everything that they're part of? Or will people just say, man, this guy was a great jock, he was a great athlete? And at the foundation of what empty the bucket is Colossians 3:23. I do all things as if I'm doing it for the Lord and not for man. And so if I do all things as if I'm doing it for the Lord and not for man, now my performance in my life is not wrapped up in your applause. And when I got out of that hospital, I thought I was driven when I played sports. I thought I was dedicated and committed when I played sports. When do a person start to really live? When a person has faced death. And I came in contact with death, but I beat it and I conquered it and I survived. And I felt as if somebody pulled the shades up on my life and they said, now you see life for what it's really worth. My perspective had totally changed. And I went to rehab for my arm for 2 years, 7 days a week. And they would order me different machines. They would get me an arm skateboard. They would get me different things that I could breathe in because they cut me 6 times down my left thigh. They cut me 1 time across the left side of my neck, 1 time across the right side of my neck, twice through my right ribs. They cut out my right pec. They put 350 staples in my body and they bandaged me from my neck to my knees. I had to learn how to walk again. I went from bench pressing 325 pounds, jumping a 40-inch vertical, to now my roommates had to help me take a bath because there were certain incisions that I couldn't get wet. And so I love the process. I love it. I love working for what I want. I love the sacrifice. I love the dedication. I love the commitment. I love that. Everybody wants the prize. Nobody wants the process. Everybody wants to be a diamond. Nobody is willing to get cut. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. And I went to rehab for 2 years, and the doctors, at the end of every visit, I would step up and I would say, man, is there anything that you could tell me? Like, can you give me anything? Are you seeing anything? Any nerves regenerating? Are you feeling anything? Can you tell me something? And the only thing they would say at every visit, come back tomorrow. For 2 years. And so one of my last visits, I got up off the table. I'm a pretty positive guy, speak life. And I jumped up off the table and I said to the doctor, I said, man, are you seeing anything? Can you give me any good news? And he said to me as he dropped his head, he said, Ink, you probably will never be able to use that arm or hand again for the rest of your life. And I responded to him and I said, physically. And he said, physically? That's interesting. I said, yeah, physically. I said, physically, you know, I can't punch anybody with my right. I got a mean left. I got a mean left hook. I can't do a lot of things that I want to do with my right. I can't. You know what's one of the coolest things that I thought was as a kid? When I was a kid and I grew up in this community, I saw everything by the time I was a senior in high school. I saw murder. I saw people get robbed. Saw people get stabbed. I saw drugs being sold. I saw people use drugs. That's why I never touched any of it. But when I was a kid, there was a swimming pool on the other side of the tracks in my neighborhood. And I would walk past the swimming pool all the time. And the coolest thing in the world to me, not just what's in the world, the coolest thing was when I would see a father and he would grab a kid and he would throw him up and he would catch him. And they would laugh and they would smile, and I would always stand on the fence and I would say, man, I can't wait until one day I have my wife and my children and I could take them to a pool and I could throw them up and I could catch him and I could see him smile. And when the doctor looked at me and I said, physically, I said, I can't do some of the things that I wanted. I can't throw my kid up like I wanted to in the pool. Like some of the things I can't do. I said, but I could use this arm every day for the rest of my life by the way that I live my life, because I would never let a circumstance or a situation define my life. Adversity is adversity. And the reason I love adversity is because you don't judge a person's character by where they stand when everything is all good. Everybody can stand up and do good when everything is all good. Everybody can smile when it's sunshine. Everybody can do right when everything is going right. Everybody can do that. But everybody can't face opposition, adversity, and challenges and say, I've been waiting on you to come. I'm going to embrace you and I'm going to figure out a way to use you, because you would never turn me into a different person. You would never make me a person that people don't recognize before the adversity. You ever seen a person that faced something and you don't even recognize them? Like the thing I've learned about life, like everybody is in different businesses, but at the end of the day, we're all in the people's business. And what I mean by that is every day we have a chance to impact somebody's life, right? And I firmly believe with the things we're part of and the things we do, we all have to have a purpose that's a lot greater than ourselves. So when we hit things that we don't understand and that brings us a certain level of discomfort and that hurts us and we just can't pull the grips on it, when we have to encounter things like that, we have to step back and we have to figure out, how can I use it? And a lot of times, like naturally, people are selfish, right? And what I mean by that is they approach situations and they say, what can I extract from this situation and how can it benefit me? But the moment an individual shifts their perspective and shift their mentality and shift their attitude from me to we, that is the moment an individual becomes literally dangerous. Because now an individual is attached to purpose and mission. And when you have an individual that's attached to purpose and mission, it's not too many things that's gonna stop them. You see, my football career ended, but my reason for why I lived my life, it never did. I just had a paralyzed right arm and hand. My mentality wasn't paralyzed. My spirit wasn't paralyzed. My drive wasn't paralyzed. My dedication wasn't, my commitment wasn't, I was the same man. I just had an extra boost of energy for why I lived my life. I wear this as a badge of honor. Every single day, the adversity, the opposition that life sent to break me, I wear it as a badge of honor because I understand every day of my life, I represent something. It's just like every individual in this room, when people see you, they think something. We've all seen those people, we see them coming, we're like, oh, here come this crybaby. No, they're whining about something. And then we've all seen those people where we say, man, where you been, brother? I've been needing to see you, man. How can we be those type of people in our companies and our families and the things that we're connected to? How can we be those people that's a breath of fresh air, man, that live life with passion and compassion? How can we be those people when we ask people questions, we don't just listen with the intent to reply, but we actually listen with the intent to understand? How can we be those people that understand everybody that comes across our path, they come across our path for a reason. And so when we approach them, we listen, and we share a little bit of love, and we want to leave them a little bit different. Like everybody is on fire for the Lord until opposition happens. Or when the situation or the circumstances change and they don't get what they expected to get. And so I wanted to understand, in the midst of the opposition, how did you get up and how did you carry on and stay committed to your family and to your career? Like, I'll never forget, I talked to the guy that I encountered the hit with that left my arm like this, and that changed my life. I'll never forget, I talked to him. He called me, and he played for the University of Air Force, obviously, and he just so happened to be from Atlanta. And he calls me, and I picked up the phone. It was about a year and a half after my incident happened. I pick up the phone, this guy is crying his eyes out. And he says to me as he's crying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He said, I didn't have a shot at the NFL. He said, you did. He said, I feel as if I messed your life up. And I said to him, thank you. He stopped crying. He said, what do you mean, thank you? I said, I'm saying thank you because if this incident didn't happen, who's to say that I would be the man that I am? Who's to say that I would be the father that I now? Who's to say that I would have the perspective that I have? Not that my perspective was bad before. Adversity, it's all about perspective. It's never about what we go through. It's how we view what we go through. And when I told him thank you, the reason he didn't understand it, it's not so much about a story, right? We all have stories.
these are not tears of sorrow. These are tears of joy, because the thing I understand, the only thing I need you to do is deal with it in the right way. And watch what God not only does in your life, watch what God does in everybody's life that's connected to you. And the thing about every storm has an expiration date.
Because when I almost lost my life, that shade went up and it made me realize what life was really about. And at the end of the day, I think we all know it's not about anything superficial or materialistic. We've all experienced that. We've all got that new car, and then 3 days later, it's just a new car. And why did it feel better when we did something for a family at Christmas than when we did something for ourselves? Because life is attached to growth. And life is attached to service. And what that service is serving something that serves a lot greater purpose than just ourselves. Because at the end of the day in life, it's only two things that matter. And it's not about the biggest car, it's not about the biggest house, it's not about the bank account. It's only two things that matter. It's about who we become in life, and it's about what we give back to life. And I don't know about you, but every single day I'm blessed to be above ground. I'm gonna make my time count, and I'm gonna give something valuable back to life. Please don't be the people in this world that become a public success, but they're private failures.
Right? And so in 2006, when my injury happened, a lot of people looked at my response and they thought it was something to be admired. Right? But when I looked at the situation, the beauty of it, at a certain point in my life, I was like, God, what is this? Right? At one point, the puzzle started to make sense. Man, it looks as if I'm gonna be a first-round draft pick. And then I get on the other side of the injury and it looks as if like, God, what's up? And it was as if God was saying, trust me, I got you. And I was like, I get that, God, but let me get the contract and then I'll trust you. And God was like, no, I got something sweeter for you. It might be a little hard, it might take a little bit longer, but I just need you to trust me. And I'm like, I get that part, but my mother's working at Wendy's. I really want to help my mother. I got a little sister, she's here today. She goes to Tennessee State. Like, I really want to help my mother and my little sister. God was like, no, I got you. And so now when I look at it, I'm like, man, I'm so foolish. Like, God had it planned all along. As soon as I hit campus, God was like, let me get him in discipleship. Let me start preparing him for the battle before the battle even happens. Let me put victory in his spirit and in his mindset, so when the injury happened, his perspective is already shifting. Let me get him prepared for it, so when it happens, he can step back and see the bigger picture. And so the beauty of it was when Coach Foreman came to see me in the hospital, and I love it. Coach Foreman came to see me and he shook my hand. He said to me, Ink, how you doing? I said, Coach, I'm blessed. He said, you sure, buddy? I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I gave everything, I'm good. He was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, Coach, I'm good. And he walked out and I could tell he was trying to figure it out. Like, man, why did he say that? And the beauty of it was when it happened, automatically something popped in my head that said, Inky, remember James chapter 1 when it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of any kind, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and perseverance must finish this race so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. So in other words, you got to go through something in order to turn into the individual that God wants you to become. And I used to share with people all the time. I said, man, it's cute to quote scripture, but it's another thing when life puts you in a situation and you got to live it. And I noticed immediately God at work. Immediately. Because I was in a room with my mother and my father, and my whole life my mother had despised my father. Because my father left her when she was 16 and she had me. And so I was this all-star athlete, and my mother and my father couldn't even be in the same room. And for the first time in their life, they had to be in the same room without the foolishness, without worrying about what the next person is gonna think. They're in a room because they're not realizing, or they don't know what's about to transpire, and they don't know if their son is gonna live or die. They don't know if he's gonna get his arm amputated. They don't know anything. And my mother is sitting there and she's crying. And my father is lying on the floor, and his back is on the floor and his head is to the ceiling. And out of my father's mouth were the words, Ruby, I'm sorry. He said, you did a great job raising that boy. And I was like, God, I don't know what this is, but I know that's you. Because you gotta feel me, every time they were around each other, it was like a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua, and my mother was the Rottweiler, right? And so when it happened, immediately, I knew it was God. Immediately. I didn't know what was about to happen, but I knew God was in the midst of the situation immediately, and the only thing I was trying to do was stay out of God's way and navigate the situation. I knew immediately when my teammates came to see me, it was an opportunity to witness, and they were gonna look at me and see how is it going to respond in this situation. I knew immediately if I responded in the right way, Romans 8:28 could be in full effect. And we know that all things work to the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his will and his purpose. I knew immediately